My family ordered takeout and asked my sister's children what they wanted. As my kids waited to order, Mom turned to me and said in a cold voice, "Your kids can eat leftovers from the kitchen. They're not guests here." The text buzzed in at 4:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. "Jake, family dinner Friday at 6. Bring the kids. We're ordering Chinese." Straight to the point. "No, miss you. No, can't wait to see the grandkids." Just details, like she was scheduling a quarterly meeting instead of inviting her son over. That was Mom in a nutshell, efficient to the point of feeling cold. I should have expected as much. Anyway, I'm Jake, 32, a single dad of 2. My daughter Lily is 8, my son Evan is 6. Their mom bailed when Evan was barely stringing sentences together, saying motherhood wasn't what she'd imagined. She moved to Portland to figure herself out and never circled back. Since then, it's been me juggling 2 jobs and raising the kids in a cramped 2-bedroom where they share a space covered in the dinosaur posters Evan insisted on and the string lights Lily begged for at Target. My older sister, Carla, she's 36, married a finance guy named Ethan, which from what I can tell mainly means he wears vests year-round and throws around phrases like circle back. They've got 3 kids, Harper, Sloan, and Parker, names that all sound like fancy condo buildings downtown. Carla's crew goes to private school, they stroll around in matching Patagonia jackets, and they rotate between piano lessons, lacrosse practice, and something called Youth Entrepreneurship Camp. My kids? They rotate between whichever streaming subscription I can afford that month. Still, I showed up. Because that's what you do for family, or at least what I'd been taught you're supposed to do. When I walked into Mom's house Friday night, Carla was already sprawled across the sectional like she owned stock in the place. Ethan hovered by the kitchen island, scrolling his phone and half nodding while Dad rambled about riding Moors. "Jake," Mom said without getting up, "you're late." I checked the time, 6:04. "Traffic," I lied. "Well, we're starving," Carla said, shooting a glance at her kids who stood lined up like they were posing for a catalog photo. Lily and Evan slipped in behind me. Evan had his one-armed stuffed Dino clutched to his chest. Lily buried her hands deep in her jacket pockets. "Hi, Grandma," Lily said softly. Mom flashed a tight smile. "Hello, sweetheart. Go sit down." No hug, no warmth, just directions. I felt Evan's little fingers grip tighter around mine. Carla was already scrolling a delivery app like she was picking out a yacht. "Okay, so what's everyone getting?" she announced. "Ethan's treating." Ethan made a noise that might have been agreement or indigestion. She turned to her kids first. "Harper, honey." "Orange chicken and pork fried rice," Harper chimed. "Sloan, lo mein and spring rolls." "Parker, beef and broccoli. Extra sauce." She typed it all in like she was documenting an expense report. Then her gaze skimmed past my kids like they were smudges on a window. "Mom, what do you want?" she asked. Mom waved a hand. "Sesame chicken. Light sauce." "Dad, Kung Pao shrimp." I cleared my throat. What about Lily and Evan?" Carla didn't even glance up. My kids," I said slower this time. "What do they want?" She gave them a passing look, like she'd just noticed new throw pillows. "Oh," she forced a polite smile. "There are leftovers in the fridge. They can have that." I laughed, waiting for the punchline. None came. "Wait, what?" Mom set her wine down with a loud clink. "Jake, we're ordering for the adults. The kids can eat what's in the kitchen." "They're kids," I said. "Yes," Mom replied like I was dense, "but Carla's children are guests." I felt something inside me drop. Evan looked up at me, confused. Lily stared at her shoes. "They're your grandkids," I said. Mom sighed. One of those long, heavy sighs she used to give me when I'd asked for homework help. "Jake, don't turn this into a thing." "I'm not turning it into anything. I'm asking why my kids don't get to order food." Carla cut in, sugary sweet. "It's just that we're paying, Jake. And, we didn't plan for extra." "Extra?" She shrugged. "We knew you'd be here. But you always bring them, and it adds up." I stared at her, then at Mom, then at Dad, who suddenly found something riveting on his phone. "They're 8 and 6. And they can eat leftovers," Mom said in that clipped voice she used when she thought she was being perfectly reasonable. "There's chicken in the fridge. Maybe some pasta. They'll be fine." She said it like she was doing charity work by letting my kids breathe in her house. Lily tugged my sleeve. "Dad, it's okay. I'm not that hungry." That right there, that cracked something in me. Not anger. Not yet. Just clarity. I pulled out my phone, opened the voice recorder, hit record, and slid it into my pocket. So let me get this straight. I said as calmly as I could. Carla's kids get anything they want, and mine get leftovers? It's not like that, Carla said, irritation leaking into her voice. Then what is it like? Mom's jaw clenched. Jake, be serious. You show up expecting us to feed your children like we're running a charity. Evan's hand slipped back into mine. They're your grandchildren, and they're your responsibility, Mom snapped. Maybe if you'd kept your marriage together, you wouldn't need us to pick up the slack. The room froze. Even Carla winced. Ethan quietly walked out of the room like he wanted no part of it. My hand tightened around my phone to make sure it was still recording. So that's what this is about, I said. Mom didn't respond, just poured more wine. Carla pretended to be fascinated by her screen. Orders in, she chirped. 20 minutes. I looked at Lily and Evan, both staring at the floor like they wanted to disappear. Come on, guys, I said. We're going. Jake, Mom warned, don't be ridiculous. You just got here. I didn't say a word. I just took my kids' hands and walked out. As I buckled Evan into his booster seat, I heard Carla's voice float through the doorway. God, he's so sensitive. I pulled out my phone and stopped the recording. 38 minutes of crystal clear audio. I sat there staring at the file. Lily leaned forward. Dad, are we in trouble? No, sweetheart, I said. You're not in trouble. Then why did Grandma say that stuff? I met her eyes in the mirror, big, worried, unsure. Sometimes, I said, people forget how to be kind. But that's not on you. Evan hugged his dinosaur tighter. Can we get McDonald's? I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. Yeah, buddy, we can do that. The McDonald's lot was nearly empty. Just us, a minivan with an honor roll bumper sticker, and a guy in a Tesla parked like he owned the place. Lily dug into a happy meal. Evan devoured dinosaur-shaped nuggets he declared the best thing ever invented, and I nursed a black coffee, watching them dip fries into ketchup like they were testing out some scientific formula. For a moment, everything almost felt normal again, but then my phone buzzed. Carla, seriously, Jake? You just left? I stared at the screen, took a sip of bitter coffee, and didn't bother replying. Another buzz. Carla, Mom's upset. You embarrassed her in front of everyone. I actually laughed, loud enough that Evan glanced up, puzzled. Nothing, buddy, I said. Eat your dinos. Then I typed back. Me. She embarrassed herself. 3 typing dots blinked. Vanished. Came back. Carla, you're being childish. Me. And you're helping it happen. The dots disappeared for good. I locked my phone and looked over at Lily, who was nudging her apple slices around like she'd suddenly lost her appetite. You okay, Lil? She shrugged. Why doesn't Grandma like us? My chest tightened like someone had cinched a belt around it. She likes you. I lied. No, she doesn't. Lily's voice was barely above a whisper, but painfully sure. She likes Harper and Sloan and Parker. She doesn't like us. Evan stopped mid, nugget, eyes wide. Did we do something bad? I wanted to tell them 100 things, that it wasn't their fault, that families get tangled and complicated, that hurt people, whatever cliches adults use when we can't fix what's broken. But the truth was simpler and worse. My mom played favorites, and my kids were finally old enough to see it. Hey, I said, leaning in. You two didn't do a single thing wrong. Not one. You hear me? Lily nodded, though I could tell she wasn't buying it. Grandma's just. I paused, fishing for words that didn't excuse her. She's not good at treating everyone fairly. That's on her, not on you. Evan tilted his head. So we're not going back. Not for a while. Good, he said, then happily resumed eating like the conversation was over. I wished I could shut it off that easily. That night, after the kids finally drifted off, I sat on the edge of my beat-up futon and replayed the recording. Every line. Carla listing her kids' orders. The silence when it should have been Lily and Evan's turn. My mom saying, Jake, don't make this a thing. And the gut punch. Maybe if you'd kept your marriage together, you wouldn't need us to pick up the slack. I listened 3 times. Each run hurt less and hardened more, settling into a cold kind of resolve. I opened Facebook, hovered over the Create Post button, closed it again. Not yet. Saturday morning my dad called. Jake. Hey, Dad. Your mother's upset. I know. She thinks you overreacted. I let out a sharp laugh. Of course she does. Look, son. Dad. Did you hear what she said to me? What she said about Lily and Evan? Silence. Dad. She was frustrated. You know how she gets. That's not an excuse. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying maybe you could have handled it differently. How? I snapped. By sitting there while Carla's kids got takeout and mine were told to eat scraps? It wasn't scraps. Leftovers, Dad. Cold pasta and chicken from 3 days ago, while their cousins picked anything they wanted. Another long stretch of nothing. She didn't mean it like that, he finally muttered. Yeah, I said. She did. What do you want me to say, Jake? I want you to say it was wrong. I want you to say you should have stood up for your grandkids. He trailed off. Yeah, I said quietly. That's what I thought. I hung up. By Sunday, the family group chat was buzzing like a hive. Carla, can we all just move past this? This is getting ridiculous. Aunt Marie, what happened? Carla. Jake threw a tantrum because we didn't order food for his kids. Aunt Marie. Oh dear. Mom. He embarrassed me in my own home. Uncle Ron. Sounds like there are two sides. Carla. There really aren't. I watched the thread twist the truth, reshaping me into the villain of some petty story. By the end, I was the dramatic, ungrateful son who blew everything out of proportion. I took a screenshot. Then I opened the recording again. This time, I didn't hesitate. At 9:47 p.m. on Sunday, I posted it on Facebook. No long rant. No dramatic speech. Just, this is how my family treats my kids. And I attached the audio. All 38 unfiltered minutes. I tagged every single one of them. Mom, Dad, Carla, Ethan, Aunt Marie, Uncle Ron. Then I hit post, locked my phone, and walked away. Monday morning, I woke up to 217 notifications. I thought my phone had glitched. It hadn't. The post had over 1,200 shares already. People I hadn't spoken to since high school were commenting. This is heartbreaking. Those poor kids. Your mom said what? Someone had made a TikTok with snippets from the audio. 40,000 views. By noon, the post had 3,400 shares. By 3 p.m., it hit 8,900. Local mom groups, parenting forums, Reddit threads, everywhere. Someone sent me a link to a Twitter account called @FamilyDramedy that summarized it with, Grandma said they could eat scraps. This dad recorded everything. 25,000 likes. I sat on my couch watching the numbers jump. Lily wandered in, rubbing her eyes. Dad, why is your phone buzzing so much? I locked the screen. Nothing, sweetheart. Go get ready for school. Except it wasn't nothing. By the time I dropped the kids off and got to work, the post hit 15,000 shares. Then the call started. Mom. Ignored. Carla. Ignored. Dad. Ignored. Unknown number. I answered. Hello. Hi, is this Jake? Yeah. This is Jessica from Channel 9 News. We saw your Facebook post, and we're hoping to talk with you. Would you be open to an interview? I blinked. I'll think about it. Of course. Here's my number. When I hung up, I checked Facebook again. 17,000 shares. Thousands of comments. People furious. People heartbroken. People tagging their own relatives saying, this is what we sound like. But the comments that stood out the most? The ones from other parents. For a second, it almost felt like the world had settled, and then my phone buzzed again. Carla, I've been that kid. Thank you for standing up for yours. Thank you for standing up for yours. This brought me to tears. My mom did the same thing to my kids. You're a good dad. Don't let anyone tell you different. I closed the app, sat still for a moment, and then I actually smiled, because for the first time in a long while I didn't feel like I was fading into the background. I felt noticed. By Monday evening, the post had jumped to 22,000 shares, and my mom? She wiped her Facebook clean. But it didn't matter. Screenshots were everywhere. Her name, her face, her voice in that recording, captured forever. The internet doesn't forget. And neither was I about to. Tuesday morning kicked off like any other. I made Lily and Evan pancakes, the frozen kind you microwave, because I'm just not a from-scratch kind of dad. Evan drowned his in syrup, Lily ate hers plain, and asked if we could get a dog someday. Maybe, I told her, which is dad code for, ask again in about 5 years. I dropped them at school, watched them vanish through the front doors, then checked my phone. 127 new notifications. The post was at 31,000 shares. I scrolled through comments. Most were incredibly kind. Some were downright brutal. People calling my mom every insult under the sun. A few were from folks I actually knew. My old coworker Mark. Dude, this is wild. I'm so sorry. An old high school friend. Jenna, your mom always gave me weird vibes. Now I get it. And then buried in the replies was one that made my stomach twist. Just so everyone knows, this woman works at Brookview Elementary as a guidance counselor. Makes you wonder how she treats the kids there. I stared at it. Clicked the profile, some random account with a sunset avatar and 14 followers. But the comment had racked up 400 likes, and the replies were piling up. Wait, she's a guidance counselor? I'd yank my kid out of that school instantly. Somebody should report her. I closed the app. Things were spiraling way faster than I'd imagined. By lunch, I had 6 missed calls from numbers I didn't know. Then one from Carla. I ignored it. She called again. I finally picked up. What? Jake, you need to take that post down. I almost laughed. No. People are attacking Mom. They're calling her job. Do you understand what you've caused? I posted the truth. You posted a recording without permission. One-party consent, Carla. Totally legal. I checked. Silence. Then, you're wrecking her life over a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? My voice sharpened. She told my kids to eat leftovers while yours ordered whatever they wanted. She threw my divorce in my face. That's not a misunderstanding. That's cruel. She was having a bad day, and my kids were just trying to exist. Carla's voice cracked. Jake, please. She's getting death threats. That stopped me. Death threats. Yes. People are messaging her awful things. Someone even posted her address. Dad's terrified. We all are. I sat there, gripping the phone. I hadn't wanted that. I wanted the truth out, wanted accountability, wanted my kids' hurt to be acknowledged. I never told anyone to do that, I said quietly. But you started it. No, I replied. Mom started it when she treated my kids like they didn't matter. And I hung up. That night, Lily asked me something that hit like a punch. Dad, are we famous? I was washing dishes, and she was at the tiny kitchen table coloring a dragon. What? No. Why? A girl at school said she saw something about us online. She said Grandma was mean to us. I turned off the faucet, dried my hands, sat across from her. What did you tell her? Lily shrugged. I said I didn't know what she meant. But then 2 other kids said they saw it, too. And Mrs. Parker asked if everything was okay at home. My chest tightened. And what did you tell her? I said yes. Was that wrong? No, sweetheart. You didn't do anything wrong. She went back to coloring, but the worry was still in her eyes. Evan wandered in, hugging his dinosaur. Dad, can we call Grandma? Not right now, buddy. Why not? I didn't know how to put it into words a 6-year-old could understand. How to explain that sometimes grown-ups mess things up so badly the kids end up paying for it. We're taking a break from Grandma, I said finally. Is it because of the food thing? I nodded. Good, he said, and patted back to his room like he'd just solved a puzzle. I wished it felt that simple for me. Wednesday the call came. Unknown number. I almost let it go, but I picked up. Hello. Is this Jake Turner? Yeah. This is Principal Davison from Brookview Elementary. I'm calling about a situation involving your mother, Patricia Turner. My stomach dropped. What kind of situation? We've had several complaints from parents about a recording circulating online. As you know, your mother is employed here as a guidance counselor. Given the tone of the comments and the public attention this has drawn, she's been placed on administrative leave pending an investigation. I didn't know what to say. Mr. Turner? I'm here. We haven't made any final decisions. But this has become a school-wide concern. Some parents are asking to switch counselors. Okay, I don't know what happened in your family, but it's created quite the dilemma for us. I understand. Thank you for your time. She hung up. I stared at my phone. Mom was on leave. Because of me. Because I posted the truth. Because I finally stood up. I thought I might feel guilty. Instead, I just felt exhausted. Thursday, Dad called. I picked up. Jake. Hey. Your mother lost her job. I heard. She's on leave. No. They're letting her go. This morning. They're calling it a mutual decision. Silence. Then he said it. You did this. No, I answered. She did this. I just let people see it. He said I humiliated her, and all I could think was how she'd humiliated my kids first. They're children, he said. They'll forget this by next week. No, Dad. I answered, calm and steady. They won't. They'll remember the feeling. They'll remember standing there while their grandmother decided they weren't worth a $10 takeout order. That sticks. He didn't say anything. Did you ever stand up for them? I asked. That night, or any night. Did you ever tell Mom she was wrong? She's my wife. And they're your grandkids. More silence. I can't do this, he finally muttered. Yeah, I said. I know. And I hung up. By Friday, the post had hit 48,000 shares. News outlets were running headlines about it. Parenting blogs were analyzing every second of the audio. Reddit comment sections stretched on forever. A TikTok summarizing the whole mess had racked up 2 million views. My phone was a non-stop blur of notifications, interview requests, people calling me a hero, people calling me a monster, people telling me they lived through the same thing. I shut off notifications entirely, deleted the Facebook app, and sat on my couch with a beer I didn't even want. The apartment was quiet except for the fridge humming and the occasional car rolling past outside. I'd wanted people to understand, to see what happened, to say out loud that it was wrong. And they did. But now my mom was out of work, my family wasn't talking to me, my kids were fielding questions at school, and I sat in the dark wondering if I'd crossed a line. I opened the post one more time and scrolled. That's when I saw the comment. My mom did this to my kids for years. I never said anything. I wish I had. Thank you for giving me the courage to set boundaries. I read it twice, 3 times, and it hit me. This wasn't just about me. It wasn't even just about Lily and Evan anymore. It was about anyone who'd ever been the kid who got the smaller piece, the leftover plate, the cold shoulder. Anyone who'd ever been told they were too sensitive while being disrespected. Anyone who'd been pushed to keep the peace at the cost of their own dignity. I hadn't started this to destroy my mom's life. I started because I was done pretending, and I wasn't going to apologize for that. I finished my beer, shut off my phone, and went to bed. Tomorrow I'd figure out whatever came next. Tonight, I just let myself breathe. 3 weeks later, the internet had mostly moved on. The post stayed up, stuck at around 52,000 shares, but now it just sat there quietly. New scandals took over the feeds, the TikToks faded into the background, and my phone finally stopped lighting up every time I blinked. Life kept moving whether I wanted it to or not. Lily and Evan adjusted faster than I did. Kids usually do. They stopped asking about grandma, stopped asking when we were going back to her house. When Lily's friend brought it up at school, she just said, "We don't really talk to them anymore," and then switched right into a conversation about her book report. Just like that. I wished letting go came that easily for me. On the first Saturday of the month, I took the kids to the park. One of those perfect fall days. Cool breeze, crunchy leaves, hoodie weather. Evan pumped his legs on the swing set while Lily sat on a bench reading, legs tucked under her. I watched them and tried to figure out how 3 weeks could feel like both a lifetime and a blink. My phone buzzed. A text from an unfamiliar number. "Hi, Jake. This is Cheryl, your mom's sister. Can we talk?" I blinked at it. Aunt Cheryl, the one who lived out of state and only surfaced on holidays. The one who mailed Christmas cards with glittery snowflakes and $50 checks. I almost ignored her. But something made me respond. About what? 3 dots. About your mom. And what happened? I'm in town. Can I buy you a coffee? I glanced at Lily and Evan, both absorbed, both safe. Sure. When? Now if you can. Meet me at Rooted on 5th. I told her I'd be there in 20. Cheryl was already seated when I walked in. She looked older somehow, more gray, thinner, wearing a cardigan straight from a gardening catalog. She waved me over with a soft, careful smile. I sat down, awkward as hell. We'd never been close. "Thanks for meeting me," she said. "Not sure what there is to talk about." She gave a sad half smile. "I figured you'd say that." A barista brought 2 coffees. I hadn't ordered, but Cheryl clearly remembered. "Black, right?" I nodded and took a sip. "Strong. Good." I listened to the recording, she said. I didn't respond. And I read the comments. Watched the news clips. All of it. "Okay." She leaned closer. "Jake, I'm not here to defend your mother." That surprised me. "I'm here because there's something I should have told you a long time ago." I set my cup down. "Your mom, she's always been this way. Playing favorites. Cutting people down. Making them feel small. I grew up with her. I know what you're dealing with." "Then why didn't you say anything?" "Because I moved away. Because I didn't want the constant arguments. Because it was easier to send cards and pretend everything was fine." She paused. "Because I was a coward. I didn't argue. When I saw your post," she continued, "I called her, asked her what happened. And you know what she told me?" "What?" "She said you were overreacting. That you were trying to make her look bad because you're bitter about your divorce." I gave a short, humorless laugh. "Of course she did. I told her she was wrong. That what she said to your kids was cruel. that she owed you an apology. And she hung up on me. I wasn't surprised. Cheryl sighed, shoulders slumping. Jake, I'm not asking you to forgive her. I'm not asking you to call her. I just wanted you to know you're not imagining things. You're not exaggerating. And what you did, standing up for your kids, it was brave. It cost her her job, I said quietly. She cost herself her job, Cheryl replied. The minute she chose to treat your kids like they didn't matter, she set this in motion. You only made sure the truth was heard. I turned my head toward the window, watching strangers stroll past, bundled in jackets, living their lives like nothing enormous had shifted for me. I watched people stroll past with their dogs and their lattes and all the problems I'd never know they were carrying, and Cheryl asked if I regretted any of it. I thought about everything, the death threats, the news stories, the way my kids had to hear whispers at school, my mom furious and out of work, my dad refusing to take a stand, Carla spinning a new version of events like she always did. No, I finally said. I don't. Cheryl gave a small, knowing smile. Good. You shouldn't. Then she slid an envelope across the table. What's this? I asked. Something I should have done years ago, she said. Inside was a check for $2,000. Cheryl, she shook her head. It's not charity. It's an apology. For disappearing when you needed family. For keeping quiet. For letting your mom hurt people for so long. I stared at it. I can't take this. Yes, you can. Use it on the kids. Or on yourself. Or shove it in a drawer. Just take it. I folded the envelope and tucked it into my pocket. Thank you. Don't thank me, she said. Just keep being the dad you are. Those kids hit the jackpot with you. We finished our coffees and drifted into small talk. Her garden, Evan's dinosaur obsession, Lily's love for books. It felt strangely normal. When we finally stood to leave, she hugged me. Really hugged me. Warm and genuine. If you ever need anything, she said, call me. I mean it. And for the first time, I believed her. That night, I made cheap spaghetti with Jared sauce and the Parmesan that comes in a plastic shaker. Lily set the table. Evan filled the cups and only spilled once. We ate together in our tiny kitchen with the wobbly table and the wall stain I kept saying I'd fix someday. Dad, Lily asked. Yeah. Are we okay? I looked at her, then at Evan, both of them waiting for my answer with those trusting eyes. Yeah, I said. We're okay. Promise. Promise. And I meant it. We weren't perfect or wealthy or living some picture-perfect life with fancy jackets and piano lessons. But we had each other. We had spaghetti. We had heat and a roof and a futon that sort of turned into a bed. And now, we had boundaries. After they fell asleep, I pulled out my phone and opened Facebook for the first time in days. The post sat there at 52,847 shares, thousands of comments underneath. One notification caught my eye, a message request from someone I didn't know. Hi, Jake. I'm a single dad, too. My mom did something similar to my kids last year. I didn't say anything. Seeing your post made me realize I don't have to stay silent. I set boundaries last week. Thank you for giving me the courage. You're not alone. I read it twice, then wrote back. You're not alone either. Stay strong. I closed the app and looked around my apartment. The toys on the floor, the drawings taped to the fridge, the pile of laundry I'd been pretending didn't exist. This was my life now. No more family dinners with people who didn't respect us. No more guilt. No more walking on eggshells. Just me and my kids, building something better. Something honest. And for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. 2 months later, a letter showed up in the mail. No return address, just my name in handwriting I knew instantly. My mom. I almost tossed it, but curiosity won. Inside was one sheet of paper. Jake, I'm writing because I don't think you'll take my call. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't know if I deserve it. What I said that night was wrong. How I treated Lily and Evan was wrong. I let favoritism cloud my judgment, and I hurt people I should have protected. I'm not asking for anything. I just want you to know I hurt you, and I'm sorry. Mom. I read it 3 times. It wasn't perfect. It didn't undo the years of feeling lesser or erased what happened. But it was something. I folded the letter, put it in a drawer, and didn't respond. Maybe someday I would. But not today. Today I had kids to feed, a life to build, boundaries to hold. And for now, that was enough.